is Sunday, October 3rd, and it is time for my September wrap-up. Now, I had a pretty good reading month, actually. I got through 6 books and DNF'd 1. If you recall, I had 8 total on my TBR, so that was pretty good. Granted, 4 of these were really super tiny short, but that don't matter, does it? So let's get right into it. Imagine, if you will, it is a typical Monday morning. You arrive to work promptly at 8 a.m. By 8:30, there is a bright, blinding light that flashes outside of your office windows. You immediately go and look out. Nobody knows what's going on, but you do, because you've already been planning on something like this happening. It turns out it is an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. You rush up the stairs quickly to find your brother, who is already coming down the stairs. A coworker joins you, and you rush out to the parking garage, and of course, most of the cars are not working because they are computer operated, right? But not the main characters. He's got an old Jeep, and it doesn't run by microchip. So they rush out to try to make it to his house to get to his wife and child, and spaceships come down and start snatching people up. And just like the cover of Monday's Survival Guide by J.H. Glaze. Will they make it in time? So actually, the best thing about this book is the cover. It's a pretty cool cover. And these are the spaceships with the tentacles coming down to grab the people, and they take them up to the spaceship, the mothership. The plot was okay. I mean, it's your typical, oh, I gotta get here before they get me. But the characters were super flat, one-dimensional, and the writing was very subpar. So I would not recommend this one. The aliens, it kind of described them at one point. They were kind of like this gooey blob things with arms, and it was just kind of weird. And the ending was confusing, and yeah, so definitely the bottom of the barrel on this one. So even though I DNF'd this next one, it is better written than the Monday Survival Guide, so that's why it's coming in at number 6. That's going to be Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory. So this is a story told in first person about this 17-year-old girl who lives with her mother. She has basically been sheltered and is very submissive to her mother's requests. They tend to get in fights. She has always longed to know if she has relatives. So when she goes across the street to the pawn shop that her mother frequents, because she often sells her belongings to the pawn shop to get extra money, and then eventually she buys them back, and it just goes back and forth. So the main character, Margot, is wanting to do something nice for her mom because they recently had a fight, and she thought she would buy back one of her belongings and give it to her as a gift. So she comes across a Bible, and it has an old photograph in it that is of her mother. On the back of it is a phone number to her grandmother. So she goes and calls the grandmother, and she's very timid. She doesn't like to express herself or cause a scene or anything like that. The mother catches her red-handed, and the next day she sets off to this town after contacting her grandmother in order to find out where in the hell she came from. By the time she gets there, she meets a couple of teenagers, and apparently the family she comes from is very well known in the town, and not in a good way. It was just okay. I got through a third of it, but I really wasn't connecting with it at all. I don't think I was the target audience for this book, so I hate DNFing anything, but I gotta get past that, because if I'm not enjoying a book, then I just need to put it down and move on. So that's what I did. The cover is beautiful. Oh, I forgot to say that when they got there, the grandmother's farmland is on fire, so they rush out, and she notices somebody is in the cornfields, so she rushes in to save her. Fire is all around them, but they make it out, and the girl is dead, but she looks exactly like her. Ooh. So she's assuming she has a sister, but I'm guessing that's probably not the case. But at any rate, I really didn't care enough to continue, so that was Burn Our Bodies Down. So what would you do if you got a mysterious message on your Instagram or social media account? You know how it has links? You're not supposed to click the links, but the guy in this book does, and it's of a girl who's wearing a Hello Kitty mask. And she's not saying anything. She just kind of moves seductively in a way, enough to get him aroused, and he does his business and forgets about it. Of course, he's married too, you know. And at first he doesn't tell the wife what's going on, but after another message appears, a few days or maybe even a few months later, it's a little weirder of a video, and it seems like someone shot this girl, but more videos eventually come, and they get increasingly more disturbing, enough to where the guy admits to the wife what's going on, and yeah, that's basically it. The guy's a professor, they're living in Japan, and it was just okay. It was kind of boring in a way. The motives of the villain were not very clear, and yeah, so I wouldn't recommend The Girl in the Video by Michael David Wilson. It's just, thank God it was short, or it definitely would have been another DNF. So, The Girl in the Video. This one, Night of the Living Inflatable Love Dolls by J.H. Glaze, was actually kind of enjoyable. It was much better written than the Monday Survival Guide. Really thought it was creative. It is a take on like a zombie apocalypse, like Night of the Living Dead, but with killer blow-up dolls. And not only that, but like any kind of sex toy that's made of plastic or rubber. So you can imagine the shenanigans that happen. One night, this girl and her boyfriend are making out, and they hear like a crash. Well, it was like a semi-truck crash, and it was carrying two things: lots of sex toys and some kind of chemical from the army. What a combination, right? They rush to her father, who is the sheriff, and of course they don't believe them at first, but they tell him what they saw, which was the driver opened the back door after the crash, went in, and then came out screaming, and then he just exploded. And they got the hell out of there, is what they did. So you're probably wondering, well, how does a blow-up doll or anything else kill people? Well, it has like this black sludge that they kind of puke out, and if it even touches somebody, then they swell up and they explode. So there was lots of carnage candy in this story. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, the ending kind of let me down, but overall I liked it. I would probably read this again. It was just a fun little cheesy B-movie horror story. So if you're in the mood for something short and stupid, definitely check this one out. So The House on Abigail Lane by Keelan Burke was an interesting story. It's written in a style like article in a way, and he's just telling you everything that's ever gone on with the house on Abigail Lane. It was built in the 50s, and during this construction, one of the workers went upstairs and disappeared, never to be seen or heard from again. But it's not until a few years later when a family moves in and the 12-year-old boy disappears, in which the media takes an interest, and then things go from there. And then one night, the dad goes back to the house after he has vacated his remaining family with a reporter or somebody, and he ends up disappearing too. So it just goes through over the years, each person that's ever lived in the house, what their encounters were like with the house. I thought it was an original tale. It was very spooky in some places, kind of mind-bending towards the end. And if you're a fan of what the fuck kind of story is this that I'm reading type of stories, then I would highly recommend The House on Abigail Lane. So I really had trouble deciding between these last two, which one I liked better. So Touch the Night by Max Booth III was quickly on the way to becoming my favorite 2020 book ever. The characters were well fleshed out. The story was very intriguing. It's about these two 12-year-old African-American kids who go out one night and they go to a gas station to kind of rob it in a way, kind of steal some things. And then they get in a scuffle with the clerk, and he ends up bad off. He's not dead, but they escape thinking that maybe they killed him. And on the way home, because it's like 2 a.m. in the morning, a police car comes up behind them and they are essentially arrested. But these are not your typical police officers. They are big, they're bulky, and they're kind of disfigured in a way, and they talk funny, and yeah, they throw them in the back and things get crazy. Oh my gosh, this story, it was definitely a page turner. It went on a little long, but at the end, the ending was very rushed. Things started happening off camera, you could say, off the page, and I'm talking big things. So that was really what brought it down for me. I really enjoyed the character Otessa, who was one of the mothers. So after the kids go missing, the moms are distraught. They go to the police station. The sheriff doesn't seem to want to help them because he thinks they're just in hiding after what took place at the gas station, but their mothers are certain something is wrong. So they go on a quest to find out the truth, to find out where their kids are, and yeah, so this was a really good story. I just hated the ending. You know, an ending can totally bring down your whole experience with a book, and that's what happened with this one, so that's why it's number 2. But I would highly recommend it, so definitely check this one out. So creepy. The top read for me for September was definitely The Chill by Scott Carson. This is a story about a town around a dam. So back in the day, there was a village that lived here, and they were basically driven out of their land because New York City was going to create a reservoir. So they actually flooded a town, and they ended up not even using the damn thing because they created other reservoirs and built all these tunnels to connect them, but they never connected the one at the Chilliwackee, or what they call the Chill. First of all, this cover is terrible. I hate it. It has nothing to do with anything. This was such a good story. I mean, there's a 20-something-year-old who is the sheriff's son, and he has recently been discharged from the Navy, and he's turned to alcohol basically because things with him is just not going well. His dad is wanting to send him to rehab, and the guy has a real attitude. He bucks up to his dad a lot, but he goes to the Chill to prove his dad wrong on some things. Like, he used to be the best swimmer, and that's what he was doing in the Navy, was being a rescue swimmer, but things happened there and he was discharged. So he's going to prove a point to his dad that he can still do it. So he gets there, he's swimming, he gets downstream, he gets on shore, he ends up cutting his foot by stepping on a broken piece of glass. There's a surveyor or somebody there that comes across him and he's walking away, but the character doesn't know that he's going to get like a first aid kit, so he throws the remaining bottle at him and he thinks he's killed him. He falls in the water, the dude rushes after him trying to find him, and it just spirals from there. So this is a ghost story, we can say, but not your typical ghosts. I mean, they are on a mission, and I can't really tell you what that mission is without spoiling some things. So I'm just going to say, if you like ghost stories, I would highly recommend The Chill. It is so well written. It was such a page turner for me. I absolutely loved it, and it is definitely high up on the 2020 books that I've read. So yes, definitely check it out. So that's it. Those are the 7 books I read or DNF'd in September. Can you believe October's here? It is officially spooky season, and I couldn't be more excited about it. Let me know in the comments what you thought about any of these if you've read them. So thanks for tuning in. Come back and see me next time. And until then, keep turning those pages. Bye.